Tinubu cuts bus fare by 50%. That is a shouty one, if you ask me. And then the first rider says, declares free train trips. We're ready for implementation. Bus owners and book your tickets online. NRC tells travelers. The last rider says, air travelers excluded. All right, this is a very, very clear one here. You start reading on the front page and continue reading on page 6 and the front in the Daily Trust newspaper. Then above that, we have Nigeria's debt now 87.9 trillion naira, according to the Debt Management Office, TMO. You can get details of that story on page 23. Then pro-Wike lawmakers withdraw impeachment notice against Fubara. Page 13 has that story. And federal government vows to prosecute kidney traffickers. That's against the backdrop of the story by Trust TV and Daily Trust, Media Trust. You can get details of that story on page 8 this morning. And just below that, we have a pictorial of a landmark event where we have the board chairman, NNPC Limited. And this is at the inaugural board of directors meeting at the NNPC Towers in Abuja recently. Exactly. And the Media Trust honors 27 staff for integrity, excellence, creativity, and long service as Borno government, Zenith Bank bag customer loyalty reward.
Ayuba was one of the recipients.
Yes, Ayuba.
He was probably on the news because
he was, and he was on the news, but he was there to receive the award. He got the award for excellence at Trust TV, and Adini Ajishafe, who is our sports presenter and correspondent, got the award for integrity. Yeah. And then we also have Sagir Ibrahim got the creativity award. So congratulations to all the Trust TV nominees and awardees.
To get creative.
Exactly. We have Sumaya Abubakar too, you know, one of the nominees, and Aisha Haruna, producer. And then we have a whole lot of them, actually. Congratulations, they're all winners. Yeah. And that's about the stories that we have in front of Daily Trust. You want to grab a copy and get details of all of the stories, please be my guest.
Let's take a look at Blueprint newspaper for today, front page of the Blueprint newspaper, and it starts with that all too familiar story. Christmas and New Year celebrations amid hardship. Tinubu approves 50% cut in transportation fare nationwide. Governors offer incentives and palliatives. This story continues on page 5 and 15. NSCDC deploys 4,000 personnel assures of hitch-free Yuletide season. So it's safe to say in the next few hours and the next few days, we will definitely monitor the implementation of this pronouncement of 50% cut in the bus fares. For some people, 50% cut means that we're going to go back to the old price, right? But for some also, they can't even afford the 50% charges on those
just imagine
fares.
that you're going to...
I know it is something.
Yes.
We know of the adage that says half bread is better than none. But yeah, you just have to look at the scale of the implementation. There are certain places that you're going to, and there are no government-owned buses to take you there. And we also don't know of the scale of the arrangement that the government has with those bus owners that are also coming on board. But hopefully it will cover a lot of ground to give Nigerians a sense of relief, especially during this period where families need to reconnect after months of being away from each other, and also with the economic hardship in the country. Rivers Assembly withdraws impeachment notice against Fubara. It's safe to say Wike's camp of the Rivers Assembly, because we still have the two camps, and that situation has not yet been resolved. In fact, the Commissioner of Information, speaking yesterday afternoon, was saying that the governor did not sign a peace deal under duress at the presidential villa during that Monday night negotiations with President Bola Tinubu and other stakeholders. He did say that all ongoing court cases have not been withdrawn yet. So yeah, there's still a lot of, you know, anticipation with regards to what comes next in River State, and you get the sense that you know, this battle is not over just yet.
Exactly. You see a lot of unfolding stories. I think yesterday everybody thought they've seen it all, and then we have new developments arising this morning. Let's see how it pans out. But you know, the holiday season is coming. Everybody just want to have, you know, rest and not think about some of this political drama happening in different states in Nigeria.
But yeah, we keep our eyes on that. Forex crisis, gap between official black market rates hit 400 naira. One point in time, the dollar didn't even cost 400 naira, but now the gap is further widening, and something about the holidays is also driving demand up. And unfortunately, the naira has been doing so badly over the past years. You don't know when a turnaround is going to happen. But you can take a look at page 21 if you want to read up on this new development. Tinubu seeks confirmation of 11 Supreme Court justices, and I think they made that submission a couple of weeks ago when the NJC made that recommendation.
Yes.
And it seems the president has taken his fine time, and now he's finally seeking their confirmation. So congratulations to all the 11 that are going to the Supreme Court bench. Page 16 has more on that.
A lot of things that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Lots of
and you look at the ones that are currently sitting on the bench. Listen, the entire task of litigating all these gubernatorial disputes lies on them. And they also have very limited time to do that. And they begin the hearing in Kano later today or this morning. So let's get back to the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. And in Delta, the government and NNPCL firm to develop first floating gas plant. Interesting. That story is on page 22. FCT IRS rakes in 203.1 billion naira. Projects 250 billion naira for 2024. Let me tell you why this is good news for the Wike-led administration in the FCT. They've been taking off the TSA.
Yes.
I think they've also and that what that leverages for them is they have control over monies like this, and let's hope that there will be judicious, accountable and transparent usage of these funds, because
internal generated revenue, right?
Yeah.
And I think
so if you're not
scale up now.
If you're not part of the TSA, you're not remitting to the federal pot. You're now basically in control of your own of the resources that you generate internally, and that gives you a lot of leverage.
A lot of people see Abuja like, you know, there's not a lot of work,
goodness.
but you know, I think that
revenue generation is quite significant.
Yes, the major cities are turning into slum, if you ask me, because we have a lot of repairs to be made. Street lights are not working. If you pass through the airport road at night, I think I noticed this the early, getting into December, and I was thinking that this is a festive period. There are lots of, you know, activities at night, end of the year parties, a lot of people are closing. And then you see a lot of people go for activities, coming home, and everywhere is just dark. But I'm beginning to see a significant improvement in the street lights that we have in Abuja. And like a friend of ours would say, what goes around comes around. A lot of things are happening in Abuja, and we need all this lights to be up.
Especially on the security front.
Exactly,
the street
security.
Lights do help significantly to save people from muggings, and also even discourages the criminals, because when it's once lit, people can see from afar some of these things happening. But let's take one last quick look at the front page of the Blueprint newspaper for today as we wrap up the headlines on that paper. Israel stands to end being bigger loser in Gaza, according to Palestinian envoy, and that unfortunate human tragedy continues to unfold right before our eyes as the Palestinian authorities say some 20,000, or Hamas says some 20,000 Palestinians have now died since the Israel-Palestine recent clash began back in October this year. And on politics, a motion to Oshomole, your reckless architect of your woes as APC chair, says ex-governor found self in place least dreamt of despite limited education and exposure.
Wow.
Now, politicians always have a way of hitting each other below the belt.
That's a big clapback, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Expect to hear from Oshomole soon.
This hurts me, though. This is where I say ouch. But you know, it's how you just painted it. They have a way of reaching out to each other,
hitting below the belt all the time.
All right, let's move on to another national daily and see what's happening there. The Nigerian News Direct is our next stop. The big shouty story there says Nigeria's external debt falls to $41.59 billion as DMO redeems $500 million Eurobond. That's quite huge. If you ask me, page 10 has that story. And then above that, we have holds $1 billion on calls that bridge to wrong parties and zero voice. Reps tells NCC. We see how that will pan out. Sometimes the reps call on some of these agencies to see what they can do to make life easy for some quarters. But at the end of the day, we see that nothing is done about it. But let's see how NCC responds to this, perhaps in the coming days. But let's move on to the next one. UBA rewards customers with 36 million naira prize in Super Savers Draw. Interesting one there. Investors gain a 507.6 billion naira as NGXASI advanced by 1.28%. The economists have a lot to say about this, I guess. But let's take a look at this one that says Utide. Tinubu cushions hardship with 50% reduction in transport fare and free train rides. There's a part where a lot of Nigerians, even if they have nothing to do in Kaduna, will just enter and then they're asking for a return. But ticket has to be booked online. That's the directive from NRC. So don't go there and say, I'm here for the free train
without a ticket. So
exactly.
Beware.
So beware. You have to book online. And also the luxury bus who have assented to the 50% in reduction of price. So if you're entering maybe a vehicle by the roadside, or you're going into a park where they have small vehicles conveying you to another part of the country, do not expect that. But you might read that further. I think Daily Trust had a detailed report about who is consenting to the 50% reduction in price. You might just want to get details of that. But here you can read further to understand what this story is talking about. Then war of words. You are the biggest destructive threat to APC. Amosun replies Oshomole.
Sometimes I feel like as journalists we shouldn't be amplifying some of these voices.
Yes, I think
because it really doesn't add any value to the lives of Nigerians.
Some people just wait for the papers to see who is saying what to at a particular time. So
it's just like watching two elderly people fight,
and having your phone record and then talk about it later. Yes, that seems to be the order of the day. Maybe this is just the print format of it. Southwest Economic Summit, all right, Oyo State, that's all we have in the Nigerian News Direct this morning. Okay. You can get details of that when you read further.
All right, let's take a look at the front page of the Punch newspaper today. I don't understand how things are shaping up on the Punch newspaper, right? Okay. Federal government cuts external borrowing debt source to 88 trillion naira. How's that possible? Are we now jacking up domestic borrowing? We'll do some further reading on page 19. Reps probe NNPCL JV deals. $60 billion revenue loss. That's unacceptable.
That is unacceptable. But I feel like we have all of this content being churned out on national dailies on a daily basis, talking about how the federal government does not agree with some of the activities of NNPCL. But at the end of the day, what's the accountability? What happens after all of this? Why wouldn't we have NNPCL come out to clear all of these allegations? You know,
I think when it comes to transparency and accountability, Nigerians are still unable to see what looks like transparency and accountability. I mean, we had questions about the subsidy regime itself. We had questions about barrels per day production, you know, data and things like that. And the remittances also, for how long has this been going on, the revenue losses and things like that. So I still think there's this veil of secrecy that is usually emblematic of some sort of irregularity or corruption, dare I say, that is going on. And that's why you have probes like this ongoing. If there's nothing to hide, these probes wouldn't even be initiated in the first place. So that once again re-echoes the need for more transparency, so that Nigerians can understand that their commonwealth is not being misappropriated or being mismanaged by the people that have been given this responsibility. But in other news, Army retires 113 generals, pledges support for democracy. This is coming from the Chief of Army Staff, Tariq Lagbaja. Listen, I don't know much about army operations, but it seemed to be when the current services were appointed, right? They had to let go of
about 4.
so many generals. Actually, so many generals. This is the official retirement, you know, ceremony. This is just one thing. For a country that has numerous security challenges, and so these generals are retiring in their prime.
So if they retire, then the military utilizes. Oh my God,
Imagine if Ronaldo retired in 2010.
I mean, what we will be seeing all of the hat-tricks and everything.
Yeah, so that's one of generals retiring because it's tradition. Given their I don't know how to square this. I think we need to find it. On the transportation subsidy, federal government slashes interstate fares by 50%. Labour knocks government. What are they knocking the government about? Let's take a look at the riders. NLC begins free train ride today, Thursday, 22nd of December. NLC, TUC says government confused demand wage award. I think they're talking about two different things.
Today is 21st.
Today is 21st?
Yes. I think I remember.
21st. I beg your
21st.
pardon. 21st. I beg your pardon. 21st of December. Katsina, Gombe, Plateau, Delta transporters, others claim ignorance of subsidy. So was this well thought out? Because some of them are saying, listen, we don't know anything about it. And Punch, in similar fashion, just like what we had here, Daily Trust had their own event marking, you know, their 50th anniversary. And military uncovers 636 illegal refineries, seized 21 million liters of crude. Man arraigned for stealing 25 million naira in Lagos.
Wow.
And peace deal. Rivers Assembly withdraws Fubara impeachment notice. That's it on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right. I was just wondering, 25 million naira. That's we've taken this one. We'll probably go to. We've taken Nigeria News Direct. We'll go to another paper.
I think The Nation is up next.
Then let's take another one. All right, The Nation, yes. On the tide, federal government offers free train ride to travelers. All right, this one is talking about bus passengers get 50% rebate. All right, bus passengers. Like I will continue to hammer on this. When you know the bus that you're actually taking to actually have this 50% rebate. Above that, we have 2 APC Senate seats declared vacant. Okay, and
that's for Senator Umahi and Gaidam
and
of
of course, and Senator.
They won the elections, but they didn't go to the Senate.
Yes, and Lalong, actually wanted
Minister now back to.
Oh, I was thinking that, ministers and anyway.
Well, he won the case. He didn't win the elections, but he won the case. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That's the difference. So Rivers G27 withdraws sack notice to Fubara.
What is G27? What a group of, okay. I mean, I know they're a group of 27, but G27.
It reminds me of the G5.
Yeah, or G5
governors.
Yeah.
And now they're no longer G5 governors. How time, changes story. Let's take a look at this one that says Tinubu asks Senate to clear 11 justices for Supreme Court. And we have Nigeria equities market value hit 40 trillion naira. Get details of this in the Nation's newspaper. And then we still have Nation's newspaper, hammering on the Amosun and Oshomole exchange salvos over APC tussle. It started on front page. Continue reading further in the Nation's newspaper. And then let's see, Oyetola panel to battle trucks blockade on Apapa Port Road. Right, to Governor. Okay, the minister is actually taking a step. Let's see how it goes in the coming days, because a lot of travels these days to come before the end of the year and even the early January in 2024. Let's see how this is to achieve. This panel achieves this. And one thing I always say is that you put up panel, you put up committees, and at the end of the day, we see that investigations and then the implementation becomes a problem. And then some individuals are actually hampering this implementation from happening. But we hope that this happens, and all other committees and panels that have been set up to make sure that things work in Nigeria should work as well. That's about the stories we'll be taking from the Nation's newspaper this morning, though.
Shall we take a look at the Guardian newspaper, because I think they do have a very interesting infographic that is not echoing the same stories that we've been looking at this morning. 78,446 inmates in dire straits over 750 naira daily feeding cost. And in the infographics you have pretty much the breakdown. Now, security dogs earn higher in the current budget. They get 800 naira per diem. So that's what we feed our security dogs. Not that they don't need feeding, because they're also an integral part of our security. But what this says is that we treat dogs better than we treat humans. We spend more on taking care after dogs than we do humans who are incarcerated. Granted, some of them have committed crimes, but they also have a right to life, even though that right is somewhat restricted because of the crimes that they've committed. But they do have some sort of, protection that comes with that incarceration. And it says 76,670 of them are males, while 176 are females. And that just tells you the spread demographically. Inmates in dire strait over 750 naira daily feeding costs, and 50,401 are awaiting trial. See, more than 50%, close to 60% of them are awaiting trial. So they've not even, been confirmed guilty, to say, of.
And you'll be amazed how many years they've been waiting to, for this trial, and it never came. I remember this morning, I think it was just yesterday, the Ebonyi State Governor released about, quite a number, over 100, where he was talking about 126 inmates in one cell using one restroom.
Yeah, we know that they're overpopulated already. We know that our correctional facilities are overpopulated for so long. We've not expanded the infrastructure, and we keep piling in more and more people. I mean, 50,000 on a waiting trial. I think this is the height of the dysfunction within the justice system itself, because for a lot of people, this is contravening and a violation of their human rights, because justice delayed, as we like to say, is justice denied. So why is it taking forever? And some 3,271 of them are on death row nationwide. Well, speaking to developments in health, Yaba Psychiatric Hospital records 100% admission spike, rather, according to the chief medical director.
Why is that?
I wonder. Page 4 has more on that story for you. Why Nigerian universities are ranked low globally. Off the top of my head, I think I can tell you why. But get to the details on page 7.
Exactly.
They are poorly funded, poor infrastructure.
The curriculum too is something not to write home about. I remember you're using handouts of about 40 years for students who are studying in 2023. That's super appalling.
Yeah, and it's unacceptable.
Yes, it is.
I don't think we're in line with international best practices when it comes to tertiary institutions, even though we have some of the best and brightest minds, not just in the universities, but also in those classrooms, because Nigerian students, trust me, they perform excellently at the international level, whether it's Harvard, Cambridge, MIT, wherever they go. I mean, we've seen so many records of them, performing and doing excellently. In other news, public debt rises to 87.9 trillion naira, despite $1.5 billion drop in external component. Lagos, Ogun, Nigeria's most economically viable state, says report. I mean, Lagos is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We already know that is what the case has been for so long. But it's also very interesting what they're doing in Ogun. So more states need to follow in that suit. Okay,
let's take our correspondent who is live at the Supreme Court now.
Yeah,
Shafiu Suleiman is on standby, and he will be, filling us in on what's going on around the Supreme Court as we get into the hearing for the governorship tussle, in Kano State. Shafiu Suleiman, good morning to you.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. So, fill us in. What's going on around the Supreme Court at the moment?
Right, as you can see behind me, this is the road, leading to the Supreme Court, where this appeal by the NNPP, that is the NNP governor in Kano State, Abba Kadir, is being heard. As we approach this road leading to the court premises, we are actually welcomed by 6 smokes arriving. It is emanating from a crowd of supporters who are usually standing here to be passed. Right now, as we speak, a number of them, the camera will pan this direction. You see a number of supporters, party supporters, hanging around. They were not allowed to go to where the court premises is. Of course, as a result of the tight security situation here at the entrance to the court, at the Supreme Court, along the Federal Secretariat. And on this side, if the camera will also pan, you will see the number of security personnel standing. They've already blocked access to the road leading to the Supreme Court. All of this is actually done to prevent the occurrence of what happened during the session at the Court of Appeals, where there's almost a stampede as a result of the crowd of supporters who were trying to gain access to the court premises.
Right, Shafiu.
Unfortunately, we as even media men, we identify ourselves with all our gadgets and everything, but we're told that basically by the security personnel there, I think there's a DSS operation, that we are not needed here. So actually, we were surprised to hear that, having identified ourselves and everything. To hear that we are not needed here. It appears there are selected number of media organizations that are, that their names have already been given to the security operation, allowed to go in. That's the situation right here.
Right. All right. Okay, Shafiu, it's sad that we're unable to get the clearance to get access to the Supreme Court, but give us a sense of whether we know if the major players in this particular suit have already made their way to the Supreme Court for the commencement of the hearing, and do we know when the hearing is set to commence?
Right. Virtually all the parties are seated based on the information we get from our who are already inside. And as they're also coming in here, we saw a convoy of the government officials in Kano, because the number plates of vehicles were there in the Kano State Government house. So it appears all the stakeholders are here for this hearing. Very important hearing, as you are aware, emanating from the outcome of the Court of Appeal judgment with regards to the Kano governorship battle. Remember, the panel of justices at the Court of Appeal have confirmed the decision of the lower court in Kano, citing the incumbent governor, Abba Kabir. But then there are also controversies around the judgment, if you like, or the copies of the judgment of that court, which led to a lot of controversy in respect to the contradicting conclusions of the Court of Appeal. But all of that is going to be determined by the Supreme Court here, because the matter is already before it. The counsel to the appellant, that is Abba Kabir, have raised this issue of the contradiction in the concluding part of the judgment, which was sustained. It's only the Supreme Court that can determine whether, as claimed by the Court of Appeal, the errors were clerical errors as advanced earlier. The fact that the Court of Appeal is started by, in terms of addressing that issue, having exhausted the number of days allocated to it to adjudicate on the matter.
Right.
The onus is now on the Supreme Court to decide on that matter, and other matters brought before it.
You did talk about the supporters, and apologies to our viewers. We are working on that video to give you some feed of the situation where Shafiu Suleiman is giving us live updates from. But tell me what you make of the mood of the various supporters there. I suppose the Kwankwasia supporters are there to show support for the NNPP governor, as well as the APC supporters who are there to cheer on their candidate, Nasiru Gawuna, who has won the first 2 rounds of this battle.
Right. From this end, we can see the supporters and identify them, by their sort of identity. The red cards are largely for the NNPP, the Gogotia group. There are a multitude of number here. There are also others who are wearing the red, the green cap, also supporters of the APC.
It appears we have lost our connection to Shafiu Suleiman, who is reporting on the hearing on the Kano governorship election litigation. The tribunals were done. The appeal court also passed a verdict. There was some sort of confusion regarding the CTC, the certified true copy, but the NNPP has approached the last bus stop, which is the Supreme Court of Nigeria, to address their concerns there. Today has been slated for the hearing, and we do want to keep tabs on that so we can bring you up to speed with developments regarding that hearing and when perhaps a likely judgment will be heard on that. Kano, of course, as you can imagine, has grabbed the attention and the imagination of most Nigerians because of its political history and how this particular battle at the courts is really going to define the next few years for the people of Kano. So we'll do keep tabs on that development. You can stick around on Trust TV to find out across our news updates what is happening regarding the Supreme Court hearing. But